Good evening, my friends. Tonight I'm going to show you how to stay in your assumption 24/7. Not just during your visualization practice, not just when you're feeling inspired, not just when things are going well. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, around the clock, without exception. This is the secret that separates those who manifest their desires from those who simply dream about them. Because here's what most people don't understand. You can't manifest from an assumption you only occupy part-time. If you assume wealth for 1 hour and poverty for 23, you're living in poverty. That's what manifests. If you assume love before bed and loneliness all day, you're living in loneliness. That's what appears. You must learn to occupy your desired state continuously, constantly, permanently, as naturally as breathing, as automatically as your heartbeat. Tonight you're going to learn exactly how to do that. Let me start by explaining why your manifestations haven't appeared even though you're doing the work. You imagine your desire fulfilled every night. You fall asleep in the wish fulfilled. You visualize, you affirm. You do everything you've been taught, but nothing changes. Why? Because for the 23 waking hours of your day, you're completely abandoning your assumption. You wake up and check your bank account, poverty consciousness. You go to work and complain about money, lack assumption. You talk to your friends about your problems, victim state. You worry about bills, fear and limitation. You react to circumstances, old identity. And then you wonder why that 1 hour of visualization at night isn't working. It's not working because manifestation doesn't happen from what you do for 1 hour. It happens from the state you live in most consistently. Your consciousness is always creating, always, every moment. You're always assuming something. The question is, are you assuming your desire fulfilled or your current circumstances? Most people assume their current circumstances 95% of the time and their desire fulfilled 5% of the time. And then they're shocked when the 95% is what manifests. To manifest your desire, you must flip this. You must assume your desire fulfilled 24/7. During the day, during the night, while working, while resting, while talking, while thinking, continuously without break. First, you must understand that right now, you have a default state. This is the state your consciousness automatically returns to when you're not paying attention. For most people, the default state is their current circumstances, their current identity, their familiar patterns. When they stop consciously focusing on their desire, they unconsciously slip back to this default. And because most of your day is spent not consciously focusing on your desire, you spend most of your day in your old state. This is why your manifestation doesn't appear. So the real work, is not just creating a new state during your visualization. It's making that new state your default, making it so automatic, so natural, so deeply embedded in your consciousness that you don't have to remember to occupy it. You just do, continuously, 24/7. Your day begins the moment you open your eyes. And what most people do in those first moments determines their entire day. They check the news, immediately engaging with external reality. They start thinking about their problems, immediately occupying the old state. And within 5 minutes of waking, they've completely abandoned their assumption and returned to their default state. This is the first place you lose your 24/7 assumption. So here's what you must do instead. The moment you wake, before you move, before you check anything, before you engage with the world, you must consciously occupy your desired state. Not visualize it, not think about it. Be in it. Lie there for just 60 seconds. Feel yourself as the person who already has what you desire. Let that identity settle over you. Let it become real. And then as you get out of bed, carry that feeling with you. You're not getting out of bed to start working toward your desire. You're getting out of bed as someone who already has it. This is how you set your operating system for the day. This is how you make your assumption your default instead of your old state. Do this every single morning without exception. This is non-negotiable. Now, as you move through your day, there's one thing that's happening constantly. Whether you're aware of it or not, you're in a conversation. Right now, there's a voice in your head. It comments, it judges, it plans, it worries, it remembers, it never stops. And this voice, this constant internal dialogue, is either maintaining your assumption or destroying it. Most people's inner conversation sounds like this: I can't afford that. Why does this always happen to me? I'm so tired of being alone. Nothing ever works out. I don't have enough. Nobody appreciates me. Every single one of these statements is an assumption. And every time you think them, you're reinforcing the old state. You might visualize wealth for an hour at night, but if you spend all day thinking, I don't have enough, which state are you really occupying? To stay in your assumption 24/7, you must completely transform your inner conversation. It must become the voice of someone who already has what they desire. When you see something you want, you don't think, I can't afford that. You think, I could get that if I wanted. When you face a challenge, you don't think, why me? You think, this is working out perfectly. When you're alone, you don't think, I'm so lonely. You think, I'm so loved. This isn't forced positive thinking. This is thinking from your desired state, instead of your current circumstances. And you must do this continuously. All day, every thought, every internal statement. The moment you catch yourself thinking from the old state, you redirect to the new one. Immediately, without judgment, just redirect. At first, this requires constant vigilance. You'll redirect hundreds of times a day. But if you persist, if you keep choosing thoughts from your desired state instead of your current circumstances, something remarkable happens. The new inner conversation becomes automatic, your default, your natural way of thinking. And when your inner conversation changes permanently, your outer reality must change to match it. Now, you can't consciously monitor every thought, every second. That would be exhausting. So let me give you a practical system for staying in your assumption throughout your waking hours. Set an alarm clock. Every 2 hours. When it goes off, pause for 10 seconds and ask yourself one question. What state am I in right now? Not what am I doing, not how do I feel, but what state am I in? Am I thinking from my desire fulfilled or from my current circumstances? If you've drifted, and you will drift, simply return to your assumption. 10 seconds. That's all. Feel yourself as the person who has your desire. Adjust your inner conversation. Reset your state. Then continue with your day. Do this every 2 hours, every single day. And here's what happens. You start catching yourself drifting even without the reminder. Your consciousness becomes self-aware, self-correcting. By the second week, you might only drift a few times a day, instead of constantly. By the fourth week, your assumption becomes so natural that you rarely drift at all. You're not trying to stay in it anymore. You just are in it, 24/7. Now here's where most people completely lose their assumption. Something happens that contradicts their desire. A bill arrives, their bank balance is low, they don't get the call they were expecting. Someone criticizes them, they see their ex with someone else. And in that moment, in that instant of seeing contradictory evidence, they completely abandon their assumption and react from the old state. Panic, fear, doubt, anger, disappointment. And with that reaction, they've exited their desired state and entered the old one. This is why staying in assumption 24/7 is so difficult. Because reality will constantly show you evidence that contradicts your assumption, and your natural tendency is to react to that evidence. But you must learn to remain in your state regardless of evidence. Here's how. When something happens that would normally trigger you, pause before reacting. Take one conscious breath and remind yourself, this is old data, this is yesterday's state being reflected back to me. This is not my current reality in consciousness. Then consciously choose to remain in your assumption. You see the low bank balance, but you remain in wealth consciousness. You think, I am abundant. This is temporary. My assumption is what's real. You don't get the call, but you remain in success consciousness. You think everything is unfolding perfectly. My desire is coming in the right timing. Someone hurts you, but you remain in love consciousness. You think, I am so loved. This person's actions don't define my reality. This is the practice. This is how you stay in assumption despite contradictory evidence. Not by denying what you see, but by refusing to let what you see determine what you assume. You see it, you acknowledge it, but you remain in your desired state anyway. And each time you do this successfully, each time you choose your assumption over your circumstances, you strengthen the new state and weaken the old one. As your day ends, you have one more crucial opportunity to reinforce your 24/7 assumption. Before you fall asleep, review your day, not to judge yourself, not to feel guilty about drifting, but to learn and reinforce. Ask yourself, when did I successfully maintain my assumption today? When did I drift, and what triggered it? How did I handle challenges from my old state or my new one? What will I do better tomorrow? Acknowledge your wins. Every time you caught yourself drifting and return to your assumption, that's a win. Recognize it, celebrate it. And then do your state akin to sleep practice. Imagine your desire fulfilled. Engage all your senses. Make it vivid and real, and fall asleep in that feeling. This nightly practice doesn't replace staying in assumption all day. It reinforces it. You're bookending your day with your desired state, morning and evening, and maintaining it throughout the hours in between. Now, here's something most people don't realize. You can stay in your assumption even while you sleep. Your subconscious mind never stops working. It's always processing, always creating, always manifesting based on whatever you've impressed upon it. When you fall asleep in the state of the wish fulfilled, you're programming your subconscious to work on your behalf all night long. While your conscious mind rests, your subconscious continues creating, arranging, orchestrating circumstances that match your assumption. This is why the state you fall asleep in is so important. It's the state your subconscious works from for the next 8 hours. If you fall asleep worrying about money, your subconscious spends the night creating more lack. If you fall asleep feeling lonely, your subconscious reinforces separation. But if you fall asleep feeling wealthy, loved, successful, whatever your desire is, your subconscious spends the night manifesting that reality. So even sleep becomes part of your 24/7 assumption. You're not taking a break from your desired state. You're letting your subconscious deepen it while you rest. Now let me share something that will transform how you understand staying in assumption 24/7. Eventually, this isn't about technique anymore. It becomes about identity. At first, you have to consciously remember to stay in your assumption. You have to deliberately choose your thoughts. You have to intentionally redirect when you drift. This is the practice phase. This is necessary. But as you persist, as you spend more and more time in your desired state, something shifts. You stop being someone who's trying to assume wealth. You become someone who is wealthy. You stop being someone who's practicing being loved. You become someone who simply is loved. The assumption stops being something you do and becomes someone you are. And when this identity shift happens, staying in assumption 24/7 becomes effortless. Because you're not trying to maintain a state anymore. You're just being yourself. And yourself is someone who already has what you desired. This is the ultimate goal of 24/7 assumption. Not to perfectly maintain a practice forever, but to become someone for whom the desired state is natural, automatic, permanent. So let me give you a challenge. A 7-day intensive practice for staying in assumption 24/7. For 7 days straight, you're going to commit completely to living in your assumed state around the clock. Every morning, wake up and immediately occupy your desired state before doing anything else. Every 2 hours, check your state. If you've drifted, return immediately. Monitor your inner conversation. When you catch yourself thinking from the old state, redirect to the new one. When evidence contradicts your assumption, consciously choose to remain in your desired state anyway. Every evening, review your day, acknowledge your wins, do your state akin to sleep practice. Every night, fall asleep in the feeling of the wish fulfilled. 7 days, complete commitment. No exceptions. No days off. And I promise you, by day 7, staying in your assumption will feel completely different than it did on day 1. It won't be as hard. It won't require as much effort. It will start feeling natural. And if you continue for another 7 days and another, it becomes your default state, your permanent identity, your 24/7 reality. Let me close with this truth. Staying in assumption 24/7 is not about perfection. You will drift, everyone drifts. But staying in assumption 24/7 is about persistence. It's about returning to your desired state every single time you drift, as many times as necessary, without judgment, without giving up, continuously, faithfully, until the new state becomes permanent. Most people try to stay in their assumption for a few days, drift a few times, get discouraged, and quit. But true mastery comes from persisting even when you drift, especially when you drift. Because every time you catch yourself in the old state and consciously return to the new one, you're reprogramming your consciousness. You're weakening the old pattern and strengthening the new one. And eventually, inevitably, the new pattern becomes stronger than the old one. The new state becomes more familiar than the old one. The new identity becomes more real than the old one. And at that point, you're no longer trying to stay in assumption 24/7. You're just living in it, naturally, automatically, permanently. Tonight, make the decision not to try staying in assumption 24/7. Not to hope you can do it, but to commit to doing it. Starting tomorrow morning, you're going to occupy your desired state the moment you wake up and maintain it throughout every waking hour. You're going to monitor your inner conversation and redirect every thought that comes from the old state. You're going to remain in your assumption even when evidence contradicts it. You're going to fall asleep in the wish fulfilled every single night. And you're going to do this consistently, persistently, faithfully, until it becomes your natural way of being. This is how you manifest your desires. Not by doing a technique for a few minutes a day, but by living in the state of your wish fulfilled 24/7 until that state becomes who you are. Thank you and good evening. This is Best of Lectures. I will see you in the next video.
What if I told you that every billionaire on this planet operates from a frequency so powerful, so magnetic, that money flows to them like water flows downhill? And what if I told you that this frequency has nothing to do with their bank account, their connections, or even their business strategies? In fact, what I'm about to reveal might completely shatter everything you think you know about wealth. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll understand the invisible force that separates the wealthy from everyone else, and more importantly, how to tap into it yourself. But I have to warn you, once you see this, you can never unsee it. Here's something that will blow your mind. Money is not what you think it is. Those green pieces of paper, those digital numbers in your bank account, they're not wealth. They're simply the physical evidence of something far more powerful happening in the unseen realm. Think about it this way. When you see a shadow on the wall, you don't mistake the shadow for the object casting it, do you? Money is the shadow. The real substance is your vibrational frequency, your inner state of being, your consciousness itself. I once met a man who made $50 million in real estate. When I asked him his secret, he said something that haunted me. I became a millionaire in my mind 5 years before I became a millionaire in my bank account. He understood something that 99% of people never figure out. But here's where it gets really interesting. And this might challenge everything you've been taught about money. This man told me he used to be dead broke, sleeping on friends' couches, but he had this unshakable inner knowing that he was wealthy. And that's when I realized, most people have spent their entire lives practicing poverty consciousness. They've rehearsed the feeling of not enough so many times that it's become their default frequency. They'll allow themselves to feel abundant about sunsets, about friendships, about love, about experiences. But the moment money enters the picture, they shift into scarcity mode. This is why you see people who are incredibly talented, incredibly kind, incredibly hardworking, yet they struggle financially. It's not because the universe is unfair. It's not because they're unlucky. It's because they've mastered every frequency except the one that magnetizes money. Now I want you to forget everything you've heard about money doesn't buy happiness for a moment. That's programming designed to keep you comfortable with less. Instead, I want you to imagine being filthy rich, not just with money, but with the feeling that creates money. What does filthy rich really mean? It means being so abundant with joy, so overflowing with satisfaction, so wealthy in enthusiasm that you can't contain it. It means waking up every morning feeling like you've already won the lottery of life. I remember reading about a billionaire who said he felt like the richest man alive even when he was washing dishes for minimum wage. He wasn't delusional, he was operating from wealth consciousness. He understood that wealth is an inside job. Here's what the wealthy understand that broke people don't. And this is going to sound crazy at first. The wealthy don't chase money, they become the type of person that money chases. They don't try to manipulate external circumstances. They master their internal state. They understand that you must first be rich in consciousness before you can be rich in your bank account. You must assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. But here's the twist that most people miss. You can't fake this feeling. You can't pretend your way into wealth. You must genuinely feel wealthy from the inside out, regardless of your current circumstances. I studied a woman who went from food stamps to Forbes list in 7 years. She told me that the day everything changed wasn't when she got her first big check. It was when she stopped feeling poor, even though she was still poor. That's when opportunities started appearing everywhere. Let me share something that might sting a little, but it's necessary. If you don't have the money you want, it's because you're not vibrationally ready for it. This isn't about worthiness or deservingness. It's about frequency matching. Imagine trying to tune into a radio station. If you're not on the right frequency, all you get is static. Money operates the same way. There's a specific frequency that wealth operates on. And if you're not broadcasting on that frequency, you simply can't receive the signal. Think about lottery winners who go broke within a few years. They received the money, but they weren't vibrationally aligned with keeping it. Their internal frequency didn't match their external circumstances. So the universe corrected the imbalance. This next part might make you uncomfortable, but it's the key to everything. Why do 70% of lottery winners go broke? The answer will shock you. Look at the wealthiest people you know of. Notice how they carry themselves. Notice their energy when they speak. They don't seem desperate or anxious about money. They have this underlying assumption that money will come to them. They operate from a place of expectation, not hope. Warren Buffett once said, he never doubted he'd be wealthy. Not hoped, not wished, never doubted. That's the frequency of wealth. It's not arrogance. It's assumption. It's knowing, not hoping. Now here's the part that might trigger you. If you're constantly worrying about money, complaining about money, checking your bank account obsessively, calculating how much you need, asking others for money, you're practicing poverty consciousness. You're keeping yourself locked into the frequency of lack. Here's where science meets spirituality in the most beautiful way. Quantum physics tells us that everything is energy, including money. At the quantum level, there's no difference between the energy of your thoughts and the energy of matter. When you think about lack, you're literally broadcasting lack into the quantum field. When you think about abundance, you're broadcasting abundance. The universe doesn't distinguish between what's real and what's imagined. It responds to the dominant frequency you're broadcasting. Scientists at Princeton University discovered something that will change how you think about money forever. They found that human consciousness can influence random number generators. Think about that. Your thoughts can literally influence reality at the quantum level. If you can influence machines with your consciousness, imagine what you can do with money. This is why visualization works, but only when it's done from the right state. You're not just imagining wealth, you're programming the quantum field with the frequency of wealth. This is where this teaching becomes revolutionary. Imagination is the only reality. Your current bank account is simply the outward expression of your past imaginings. If you want to change your financial reality, you must change what you're imagining and feeling right now. But here's the sophisticated part that separates the masters from the amateurs. You don't imagine having money. You imagine being the type of person who naturally has money. You don't visualize counting dollars. You visualize the feeling of security, the feeling of choice, the feeling of generosity. I know a man who became a multimillionaire by spending 20 minutes every morning imagining he was already wealthy. Not imagining getting wealthy, imagining being wealthy. He would feel the weight of expensive clothes, smell the leather of luxury cars, feel the confidence of financial security. This billionaire's 20-minute morning routine is so powerful, it's almost unfair. He told me that within 6 months of starting this practice, opportunities began appearing everywhere. Business ideas would come to him in the shower. Strangers would approach him with investment opportunities. His phone would ring with deals that seemed too good to be true. But here's the key. He wasn't trying to make money. He was being the type of person who naturally attracts money. There's a massive difference. Here's where most people sabotage themselves. They measure their progress by their current circumstances. They look at their bank account and feel discouraged. They compare themselves to others and feel inadequate. They focus on what they don't have and create more of what they don't have. This is like trying to drive by looking in the rearview mirror. Your current financial situation is old news. It's the result of your past thinking, your past feeling, your past imagining. It has nothing to do with your future wealth. I learned this lesson the hard way. I spent years measuring my self-worth by my bank balance. Every time I checked my account, I felt like a failure. I was unknowingly programming myself for poverty by using my current circumstances as evidence of my future possibilities. But here's when everything changes. And this is the moment that separates the wealthy from everyone else. The moment you stop measuring your worth by your current circumstances and start measuring it by your inner state, you break free from the matrix of limitation. You realize that your true wealth is not in your bank account. It's in your consciousness. This is when you can look at a billionaire, and instead of feeling envious or resentful, you feel curious. You understand that they're not your enemy. They're your teacher. They're showing you what's possible when someone operates from the frequency of abundance. Every financial state has an emotional signature. Poverty feels tight, anxious, desperate. Wealth feels expansive, confident, generous. Most people try to change their financial state by changing their actions, but that's backwards. You must first change your emotional state. I once interviewed a woman who went from bankruptcy to building a $100 million company. She told me that the turning point wasn't when she got her first big client. It was when she stopped feeling bankrupt, even though she was still technically bankrupt. She said, "I realized that bankruptcy was just a temporary experience, not my identity. I started feeling like a successful businesswoman who was just temporarily between successes." This woman's bankruptcy story will give you chills and show you exactly how to transform any financial situation. She practiced what she called emotional wealth, feeling grateful for what she had, feeling excited about possibilities, feeling confident in her abilities. She said within 3 months, her entire reality shifted. Opportunities started appearing. People started believing in her. Doors started opening. But here's the crucial part. She didn't do this to get money. She did it because it felt better than feeling broke. The money was a byproduct of her emotional transformation. Here's a concept that will change how you think about manifestation forever. Imagine that you have invisible pipes connecting you to everything you desire. These pipes can either be open or clogged. Every time you think about lack, every time you complain about money, every time you feel anxious about your finances, you're clogging the pipes. But every time you feel genuinely grateful, every time you appreciate what you have, every time you imagine abundance, you're clearing the pipes. Most people have spent decades clogging their money pipes. They've talked about what they can't afford so much that they've created a superhighway to poverty and a tiny clogged path to wealth. Most people spend their entire lives clogging their money pipes. But what if I told you there's a way to clear them in minutes? This technique is so simple, yet so powerful. The secret is to approach wealth from a state of already feeling wealthy. Don't try to create wealth from a place of lack. Don't try to solve your money problems from the consciousness that created them. Instead, find a way to feel genuinely abundant right now. Maybe it's by appreciating the sunset. Maybe it's by feeling grateful for your health. Maybe it's by recognizing the love in your life. Get into that frequency first, then approach the subject of money. Here's where it gets really fascinating. Neuroscience shows us that our brains are constantly rewiring themselves based on our dominant thoughts and feelings. When you consistently think about lack, your brain literally rewires itself to notice lack everywhere. But when you consistently think about abundance, your brain rewires itself to notice opportunities, to see possibilities, to recognize resources that were always there but invisible to your poverty-programmed mind. Dr. Caroline Leaf, a neuroscientist, found that it takes 21 days to break down old neural pathways and 63 days to build new ones. This means that if you can maintain wealth consciousness for 63 days, you'll literally rewire your brain for wealth. What I'm about to share with you is based on cutting-edge neuroscience research that explains why some people seem to effortlessly attract money. Imagine having a brain that's literally wired to notice opportunities instead of obstacles, to see abundance instead of lack, to expect success instead of failure. That's what 63 days of wealth consciousness can do for you. But here's the key. You can't fake it. Your brain knows the difference between genuine feelings and manufactured emotions. You must find authentic ways to feel wealthy, starting right now. Every morning, before you check your phone, before you think about your problems, before you engage with the world, spend time in the frequency of abundance. This is your most powerful time, because your subconscious is most receptive. Don't think about money directly. Think about the feeling of wealth. Think about the feeling of security. Think about the feeling of having choices. Think about the feeling of being able to help others. Let these feelings wash over you until they become your natural state. I call this the millionaire's morning. Not because you need to be a millionaire to do it, but because every millionaire I've studied does some version of this practice. This is the one practice that every wealthy person I've interviewed has in common, and it takes less than 20 minutes. Here's the exact process. Wake up 20 minutes earlier than usual. Before you do anything else, spend 5 minutes in gratitude for what you already have. Spend 5 minutes imagining yourself as already wealthy. Not getting wealthy, being wealthy. Spend 5 minutes feeling the emotions you'd feel if you were financially free. Spend 5 minutes sending love and gratitude to the universe for the abundance that's coming. Do this for 30 days and watch your reality shift. Not because you're doing magic, but because you're reprogramming your subconscious mind for wealth. When you begin this work, here's what typically happens. Week 1. You'll notice your thoughts about money becoming more positive. You'll catch yourself complaining less about your financial situation. Week 2. You'll start noticing small opportunities that you previously overlooked. Maybe a side hustle idea. Maybe a chance to save money. Maybe a new resource. Week 3. Your energy will shift. People will start responding to you differently. You'll feel more confident, more optimistic, more attractive to opportunities. Week 4. Synchronicities will increase. You'll start experiencing what most people call luck, but you'll know it's really alignment. Here's exactly what you can expect to happen in your first month of wealth consciousness. This timeline has been consistent for thousands of people. Month 2. Bigger opportunities will appear. People will start coming to you with business ideas, investment opportunities, or ways to increase your income. Month 3. Your financial situation will begin to improve noticeably. Not necessarily dramatically, but consistently. You'll feel the momentum building. Month 6. Your entire relationship with money will be different. You'll operate from abundance instead of lack, and this will be reflected in your bank account. Year 1. You'll look back and realize that your financial transformation began the moment you decided to change your consciousness, not when you took your first action. Here's what you must understand, that most people miss. If you don't gradually become wealthy, you quantum leap into wealth. One moment you're operating from poverty consciousness. The next moment you're operating from wealth consciousness. The external changes might take time, but the internal shift is instantaneous. This is why some people seem to suddenly become successful. They didn't gradually build their wealth. They gradually build their wealth consciousness. And then one day, they made the quantum leap. I experienced this myself. For years I struggled financially despite working incredibly hard. I was doing all the right things externally, but operating from poverty consciousness internally. Then one day something clicked. I realized I had been a wealthy person pretending to be poor, not a poor person trying to become wealthy. The moment I realized this, everything changed. Not gradually, not slowly, instantly. And here's how you can have the same realization. The quantum leap happens when you realize that wealth is not something you get. It's something you are. You don't become wealthy. You recognize that you already are wealthy. Your bank account is just catching up to who you really are. This isn't positive thinking or self-deception. This is recognizing the truth that you are an infinite being temporarily having a human experience. And lack is just an illusion you've been entertaining. The fastest way to shift into wealth consciousness is through genuine gratitude, not forced gratitude, not fake positivity, but real appreciation for what you already have. Look around you right now. You have shelter. You have the ability to learn. You have access to information. You have the capacity to imagine. You have the power to choose your thoughts. You are incredibly wealthy already. But most people are so focused on what they don't have that they miss the abundance that's right in front of them. They're like someone standing in a fruit orchard, complaining about being hungry because they're looking at the one tree that doesn't have fruit. There's a specific frequency of gratitude that billionaires operate from, and it's completely different from the gratitude most people practice. The difference is this: most people are grateful for what they have while secretly wishing they had more. Billionaires are grateful for what they have while knowing that more is already on its way. Can you feel the difference in those two frequencies? One is gratitude mixed with lack. The other is gratitude mixed with expectation. The universe responds to the dominant frequency, and expectation is always stronger than lack when it comes to manifestation. Here's the formula that has created more millionaires than any other. Gratitude plus imagination plus expectation equal manifestation. Gratitude raises your frequency to match abundance. Imagination gives the universe a clear blueprint of what you want. Expectation magnetizes the manifestation toward you. Most people try to manifest from lack. They're grateful for what they have while imagining what they don't have while expecting more lack. That's why they get more lack. Wealthy people are grateful for what they have while imagining abundance while expecting prosperity. That's why they get prosperity. This formula has been used by every wealthy person I've studied, whether they knew it or not. Master this and wealth becomes inevitable. The key is to practice all three elements simultaneously. Don't just be grateful. Be grateful while imagining abundance while expecting prosperity. This creates a coherent signal that the universe can respond to clearly. Here's an exercise that will reveal why you're attracting your current financial situation. Do an energy audit of your typical day. How much time do you spend thinking about lack versus abundance? How much time do you spend complaining about money versus appreciating money? How much time do you spend feeling anxious about finances versus feeling confident about finances? Whatever you're experiencing financially is a perfect reflection of your dominant energy about money. If you want to change your financial reality, you must change your dominant energy. When I did this audit on myself, I was shocked to discover that I was spending 80% of my mental energy on lack and only 20% on abundance. No wonder I was broke. Most people discover that they're broadcasting poverty consciousness 80 to 90% of the time, and then wondering why they're not attracting wealth. It's like planting weeds all day and expecting flowers to grow. The good news is that you can change this starting right now. Every moment is a new opportunity to choose abundance consciousness over poverty consciousness. Just like your body has an immune system that protects you from illness, your consciousness has a wealth immunity system that protects you from poverty, but only if you activate it. Most people have a poverty immunity system instead. They're immune to wealth and allergic to abundance. They automatically reject opportunities, dismiss possibilities, and sabotage success. The wealth immunity system is activated through consistent practice of abundance consciousness. The more you practice feeling wealthy, the more immune you become to poverty consciousness. Once you activate your wealth immunity system, poverty consciousness literally can't stick to you. You become immune to lack. I know people who were born into poverty, but developed such strong wealth immunity that they can't stay poor, no matter what happens to them. They've been through divorces, business failures, market crashes, and they always bounce back wealthier than before. That's not luck. That's wealth immunity. They've developed such a strong abundance consciousness that lack literally cannot penetrate their reality. Just like money compounds over time, consciousness compounds over time. Every day you practice wealth consciousness. You're not just adding to your abundance, you're multiplying it. Day 1 of wealth consciousness might feel like a small shift. Day 30 feels like a bigger shift. Day 365 feels like a complete transformation. Day 1000 feels like you're living in a completely different reality. This is why consistency is more important than intensity. It's better to practice wealth consciousness for 10 minutes every day than for 5 hours once a week. Here's why the wealthy keep getting wealthier and the poor keep getting poorer. It's not about money, it's about consciousness. The wealthy have built up compound consciousness. They've been practicing abundance thinking for so long that it's become their default state. They literally can't think poor thoughts anymore. The poor have built up compound poverty consciousness. They've been practicing lack thinking for so long that it's become their default state. They literally can't think rich thoughts anymore. But here's the beautiful truth. You can start building compound wealth consciousness today, and it will eventually overpower any poverty consciousness you've built up. Here's the most powerful visualization technique I've discovered for building wealth consciousness. Don't visualize yourself getting money. Don't visualize yourself spending money. Instead, visualize yourself as the type of person who naturally has money. How does a wealthy person walk? How do they talk? How do they make decisions? How do they treat others? How do they feel about themselves? How do they view the world? Spend time every day embodying the consciousness of wealth, not just the circumstances of wealth. This programs your subconscious mind to believe that wealth is your natural state. This visualization technique is so powerful that it can shift your entire reality in less than 30 days. But you have to do it correctly. The key is to feel the feeling of being wealthy, not the feeling of having wealth. There's a subtle but crucial difference. Having wealth is about circumstances. Being wealthy is about identity. When you identify as a wealthy person, you automatically start making wealthy decisions, taking wealthy actions, and attracting wealthy opportunities. You don't have to force it. It happens naturally. Here's how to activate your inner money magnet. Morning wealth frequency. Start each day in the frequency of abundance. Gratitude practice. Appreciate what you have as if it were worth millions. Abundant thinking. Think thoughts that a wealthy person would think. Generous energy. Feel generous even when you don't have much to give. Expectant attitude. Expect good things to happen with money. Wealthy identity. See yourself as a wealthy person temporarily between fortune. Do these 6 things consistently, and you'll become a magnet for wealth. Not because you're trying to attract money, but because you've become the type of person that money naturally flows to. When you activate your inner money magnet, you'll start attracting opportunities, people, and resources that you never even knew existed. I've seen people double their income within 90 days of activating their money magnet. Not because they worked twice as hard, but because they started attracting twice as many opportunities. The universe is abundant, and there's more than enough wealth for everyone. The only question is, are you a magnet for it or a repellent? So stop waiting for money to make you feel wealthy. Start feeling wealthy. And watch how money begins to flow to you. Stop trying to force external changes, and start changing your internal state. Stop measuring your progress by your current circumstances, and start measuring it by your inner abundance. Remember, you are not a victim of your financial circumstances. You are the creator of your financial reality. You have the power to change your frequency, to shift your consciousness, to quantum leap into wealth. The only question is, will you use this power? Every moment you spend in wealth consciousness is an investment in your financial future. Every thought of abundance is a deposit in your wealth account. Every feeling of gratitude is a signal to the universe that you're ready for more. This is your moment of decision. You can either continue operating from the same consciousness that created your current financial situation, or you can choose to step into wealth consciousness right now. If you choose wealth consciousness, your life will never be the same. Not because you're going to get rich overnight, but because you're going to become the type of person who naturally attracts wealth. And here's the beautiful truth. Once you become that person, staying poor becomes impossible. Wealth becomes inevitable. Not because you're forcing it, but because you've aligned yourself with the natural flow of abundance. Science tells us that everything exists in the quantum field as pure potential until consciousness collapses it into reality. Your current financial situation is just one of infinite possibilities. The only reason it's your reality is because it's what your consciousness has been focused on. But in the quantum field, there's a version of you that's already wealthy. There's a version of you that's already living your dream life. There's a version of you that's already financially free. The question isn't whether that version exists, it does. The question is, how do you shift your consciousness to align with that version? Every time you choose abundance over lack, gratitude over complaint, expectation over worry, you're shifting closer to the wealthy version of yourself. This isn't fantasy. This is quantum physics. This is how reality works at the deepest level. You are literally choosing your reality moment by moment through your consciousness. If this resonates with you, if you're ready to make this quantum shift, then let me know in the comments below. Write, I am wealth consciousness. And let's start building this new reality together. Because your wealth consciousness is not just about you. It's about what you'll be able to contribute to the world when you're operating from abundance instead of lack. Your wealthy life is not just possible. It's inevitable. Once you align your consciousness with wealth. The only question is, how quickly do you want to make this shift? The universe is waiting for your decision. Your wealthy future is waiting for your commitment. Your abundant life is waiting for your consciousness to catch up. Choose wealth consciousness. Choose abundance. Choose the life you came here to live. Remember, this isn't about positive thinking or fake it till you make it. This is about understanding the fundamental laws of consciousness and money. When you align with these laws, wealth becomes as natural as breathing. Your wealthy life starts the moment you decide to claim it.
Good evening, my friends. Tonight I am going to teach you the most important skill you will ever learn in manifestation. Not how to imagine, not how to visualize, not how to do techniques. Tonight you will learn how to stay in the state. Because here is the truth that most people never grasp. You can assume your desire perfectly. You can enter the state of the wish fulfilled beautifully. You can feel it deeply for a moment. But if you cannot stay there, if you fall out of the state an hour later, a day later, a week later, your desire will never harden into fact. The secret to manifestation is not in entering the state. It is in remaining in the state. Tonight you will learn exactly how to do this. You will learn how to stay faithful to your assumption when circumstances contradict it. You will learn how to deepen your faith when doubt attacks. You will learn how to live in your desired state so naturally, so completely, that nothing can shake you out of it. Are you ready to become unshakable? Then let us begin. Let me show you the pattern that destroys most manifestations. A person has a desire. They learn the law, they get excited. They visualize and feel perfectly. For 20 minutes they feel their wish fulfilled. They feel wealthy, loved, successful, healthy. They fall asleep in the most beautiful state of consciousness. And when they wake up in the morning, they check their reality immediately. They see the same old circumstances staring back at them. And in that moment, that crucial moment, they fall out of the state. It is not working, they think. Maybe I did it wrong. Maybe I am not good enough at this. Maybe my desire is not coming. They have left the state. And the moment they leave the state, they stop creating their desire and start creating doubt, lack, and more waiting. This is the cycle that traps 99% of students. They enter the state beautifully, but they cannot stay there. They are shaken out by circumstances, by time, by doubt, by impatience, by the opinions of others. But tonight, this cycle ends. Tonight, you learn how to stay in the state no matter what. Before I teach you how to stay in a state, you must understand what a state actually is. A state is not a mood. It is not an emotion. It is not a temporary feeling that comes and goes. A state is a complete constellation of consciousness. It is a total way of being. It is how you think, how you feel, what you assume, what you expect, what you take for granted, how you see yourself, how you see the world. Think of consciousness as a mansion with infinite rooms. Each room is a different state. The room of poverty is one state. The room of wealth is another state. The room of loneliness is one state. The room of love is another state. Each room, each state, is complete and self-contained. When you are in the room of poverty, everything in that room reflects poverty. Your thoughts are poverty thoughts. Your feelings are poverty feelings. Your assumptions are poverty assumptions. The view from the window shows a poverty world. When you move to the room of wealth, everything changes. Your thoughts become wealth thoughts. Your feelings become wealth feelings. Your assumptions become wealth assumptions. The view from the window shows a wealth world. You are always in some state. Always. You cannot not be in a state. The question is, which state are you occupying? And more importantly, how do you stay in the state you have chosen? Here is the first principle of staying in a state. You must know, not believe, but know that the state is real. The state of wealth is just as real as the state of poverty. The state of being loved is just as real as the state of being lonely. The state of health is just as real as the state of sickness. These are not fantasies. These are not imaginary. These are actual states of consciousness that exist right now. When you assume wealth, when you enter the state of being a wealthy person, you have not created something new. You have simply moved from one existing room to another existing room. The room of wealth was always there. You just were not occupying it. This understanding is crucial because it removes doubt. You are not trying to create a state. You are not trying to make something happen. You are simply choosing to occupy a state that already exists. And once you know the state is real, once you truly grasp that wealth, love, health, success all exist as actual states of consciousness right now, staying in that state becomes easier. You are not maintaining a fantasy. You are dwelling in a reality. The fact that the physical world has not yet reflected it is irrelevant. In consciousness, which is the only reality that creates, you are in that state. Now let me teach you the most important word in manifestation. Dwell. To dwell means to live, to reside, to make your home. You do not visit. You do not stop by occasionally. You dwell there. Most people visit their desired state. They go there during doing techniques for 20 minutes. They feel wonderful. Then they leave and return to their old state for the remaining 23 hours and 40 minutes. This is not dwelling. This is meditating. To manifest, you must dwell in your desired state. You must make it your home. You must live there. Think there, feel there, be there. Not for 20 minutes, but as your permanent residence. So, how do you dwell in a state? Let me show you. The moment you wake up, before you move, before you check the papers, before you think about your day, you choose where you will dwell today. In the drowsy state between sleep and waking, you are highly suggestible. This is your opportunity to establish your dwelling state for the day. Ask yourself, where am I dwelling today? In the state of having my desire, or in the state of lacking my desire? Then immediately assume the state of having your desire. Feel yourself to be that person. Not someday, not when it manifests. Now, you are that person now. This takes 30 seconds. 30 seconds to set your dwelling for the entire day. Most people skip this step. They wake up and immediately return to whatever state they were in yesterday. Usually worry, lack, or wanting. They start their day in the wrong room. But you who are learning to stay in the state, You begin every single day by consciously choosing your dwelling. You wake up in the state of the wish fulfilled. This morning establishment creates momentum. It is much easier to stay in a state all day when you begin the day in that state. Here is the truth. During the day, you will fall out of the state, especially in the beginning. This is normal and expected. Someone will say something that triggers doubt. You will see a circumstance that contradicts your assumption. An old thought pattern will arise. And suddenly, without even realizing it, you will have left the state. This is not failure. This is simply the nature of learning a new habit. The key is not to never leave the state. The key is to notice quickly when you have left and to return immediately. Think of yourself as a guard watching the door of your consciousness. Your job is not to prevent every negative thought from knocking. Your job is to refuse to let them in and take up residence. If a negative thought arises, this is not working. You notice it immediately. You recognize, I have left the state. That is a thought from the old state of lack. And you choose, no, I am dwelling in the state of my wish fulfilled. I return there now. This is the practice, over and over throughout your day. Notice, return. Notice, return. At first you might fall out of the state dozens of times a day, but each time you notice and return, you are training your consciousness. You are making the desired state more natural, more automatic, more permanent. Eventually, and this happens faster than you think, the desired state becomes your default. You stop falling out because you have truly moved into that room and closed the door behind you. Let me reveal to you one of the most powerful secrets of staying in the state. Master your inner conversations. Right now in this moment, what are you saying to yourself about your desire? Are you saying, I hope this works? When will it come? I'm still waiting. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. What if it doesn't happen? These inner conversations are the language of the wrong state. Every time you think these thoughts, you are dwelling in the state of lack, waiting, and doubt. But when you stay in the desired state, your inner conversations change completely. It is done, this is mine, I am so grateful this is accomplished. I love having this is who I am. These are the inner conversations of someone dwelling in the state of the wish fulfilled. Your inner conversations are not random. They are not meaningless. They are the voice of the state you are dwelling in, and they are incredibly powerful in keeping you in that state, or pushing you out of it. Here is a practice that will transform your ability to stay in the state. Throughout your day, listen to your inner conversations, not to judge them, not to fight them, simply to observe them. What are you saying to yourself about your desire? What are you saying to yourself about yourself? What are you saying to yourself about the world? And whenever you catch an inner conversation that belongs to the old state, stop it immediately. Do not engage with it. Do not argue with it. Simply stop it and replace it with the inner conversation that belongs to your desired state. Old conversation, I'm still broke. When will the money come? New conversation, I am abundant. Money flows to me easily. Old conversation, I still haven't heard from them. Maybe they don't love me. New conversation, I am loved and desired. This relationship is perfect. Old conversation, my body still has symptoms. What if I never heal? New conversation, I am healthy and whole. My body is strong and vital. This practice, catching and redirecting your inner conversations, is one of the most powerful tools for staying in the state. Why? Because your inner conversations are the constant background noise of your consciousness. If that background noise is negative, you cannot stay in a positive state. But when you change the background noise to match your desired state, staying in that state becomes natural and effortless. Now let me address something crucial. How do you deepen your faith in the state when you have not yet seen physical evidence? This is where most people struggle. They can assume their desire for a day, maybe a week, but as time passes with no physical manifestation, their faith weakens. Doubt creeps in. They begin to question whether the state is real, whether the law works, whether they are doing it right. Here is how you deepen faith through experience in consciousness. You do not need physical evidence to know something is true. You need experiential evidence in consciousness. Let me explain. When you imagine yourself in your desired state, when you feel yourself to be wealthy or loved or healthy, that is an experience, not a physical experience, but a conscious experience. And conscious experience is just as real, just as valid, just as evidential as physical experience. The more you experience yourself in the desired state in imagination, the more real that state becomes to you. The more you dwell there in consciousness, the more faith you have that it is true. Think of it this way. If I tell you about a country you have never visited, you might believe me intellectually, but you do not know that country is real from experience. But if you visit that country in imagination, if you see it, hear it, smell it, feel it, experience it vividly and repeatedly, it becomes real to you. Not hypothetically real, experientially real. This is how you deepen faith. Not by waiting for physical proof, but by giving yourself repeated conscious experiences of dwelling in the desired state. Every time you feel your wish fulfilled, you are having an experience. Every time you assume your desire throughout the day, and think from that assumption, you are having an experience. Every time you imagine yourself as the person who has their desire, you are having an experience. These experiences accumulate, they build upon each other, and gradually, subtly, your faith deepens, not because you are trying to believe harder, but because you have experienced the state so many times that it has become real to you. This is why I say persist. Persist in dwelling in the state, not to convince God, not to make something happen, but to give yourself enough conscious experience of the state that it becomes more real to you than your current circumstances. Now let me teach you how to handle the inevitable moments of doubt. Doubt will come. Even when you are dwelling beautifully in your desired state, even when you are doing everything right, doubt will knock on the door. But it's been 3 weeks and nothing has changed. But I still don't see any evidence. But what if this doesn't work for me? But my circumstances are getting worse, not better. These doubts are not signs that you are failing. They are not signs that the law does not work. They are simply the old state trying to reclaim you. Remember, you are moving from one state to another. The old state does not want to let you go. It will send doubts, fears, and contradictions to pull you back. How do you handle these doubt attacks? Not by fighting them. Not by getting upset that you are doubting, but by recognizing what they are and refusing to entertain them. When doubt appears, here is what you do. Step 1, recognize it. There is doubt. There is the old state trying to reclaim me. Step 2, refuse to entertain it. Do not argue with the doubt. Do not try to prove it wrong. Do not engage with it at all. Simply refuse to give it your attention. Step 3, return to your assumption. Immediately return to the state of the wish fulfilled. Feel it, know it, dwell in it. Think of doubt as a wave. If you stand firm, if you remain rooted in your assumption, the wave crashes against you and then recedes. It has no power unless you give it power by entertaining it. But if you engage with the doubt, if you follow its logic, if you let it pull you into questioning and analyzing and worrying, you have been swept away by the wave. You have left your state. Stay rooted. Let the doubts come and go like waves. You remain unmoved in your assumption. Let me give you 3 anchors, 3 practices that will keep you firmly rooted in your state, even when everything seems to be working against you. Anchor number 1, the feeling. Throughout your day, return again and again to the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Not once a day, not just during techniques. Throughout your day, every hour if necessary. Stop for 30 seconds. Close your eyes if you can, or just become still if you cannot, and feel yourself to be the person who has their desire. Feel wealthy, feel loved, feel healthy, feel successful. Whatever your desire is, feel the reality of being that person. This feeling is your anchor. When doubt comes, when circumstances scream at you, when time seems to be working against you, return to the feeling. The feeling reconnects you to the state instantly. Make this a practice. Every hour, return to the feeling for 30 seconds. This constant returning to the feeling keeps you anchored in the state. You cannot drift far when you are returning to port every hour. Anchor number 2. Gratitude. Gratitude is one of the most powerful tools for staying in the state, because gratitude assumes possession. You do not thank someone for something you do not have. You thank them for something you have received. When you practice gratitude for your desire, as though it is already yours, as though it is already done, you are assuming the end. An assumption is the state. Throughout your day, be grateful for your desire. Thank you for my wealth. Thank you for this perfect relationship. Thank you for my health. Thank you that this is done. Not thank you that it will come, but thank you that it is. This gratitude keeps you anchored in the state of already having. It is impossible to be grateful for something and simultaneously believe you do not have it. Gratitude and lack cannot coexist. Anchor number 3. Revision. Every evening before you do your state akin to sleep practice, take 5 minutes to revise your day. Think back through your day. Where did you fall out of the state? What moments triggered doubt or fear or old thinking? And revise those moments. Replay them in your imagination, but this time you respond from your desired state. Did someone say something that made you doubt? Revise it. Imagine yourself hearing their words and remaining completely unmoved in your assumption. Did you check your bank account and feel fear? Revise it. Imagine yourself checking your account and feeling complete peace because you know you are wealthy in consciousness. Did circumstances contradict your assumption? Revise them. Imagine yourself seeing those circumstances and simply smiling, knowing the mirror is showing the old reflection while the new reality is already established in consciousness. This nightly revision serves 2 purposes. First, it clears any damage done during the day. You are literally rewriting the day so that in consciousness you remained in the state perfectly. Second, it trains you. Each time you revise a moment where you fell out of the state, you are teaching yourself how to respond correctly. You are rehearsing staying in the state, and tomorrow, when a similar situation arises, you will be more likely to stay rooted because you have practiced it in revision. Now let me tell you how you will know you have truly learned to stay in the state. There is a test, and it is called Sabbath. Sabbath means rest. It means you have done your work, and now you rest in the knowledge that it is finished. When you can imagine your desire, assume your desire, dwell in the state of your desire, and then let it go. Not abandon it, not forget it, but simply rest in the knowing that it is done, without anxious checking, without desperate hoping, without constant analyzing. When you reach this point, when you can plant the seed in consciousness and then rest, trusting the harvest, you have mastered staying in the state. This is the ultimate test. Can you assume your desire and then go about your life naturally, peacefully, without the need to constantly monitor whether it is working? If you cannot rest, if you are constantly checking for signs and evidence and proof, you have not truly stayed in the state. You are still reaching toward your desire rather than dwelling in possession of it. But when you can rest, when you can wake up in the morning and go about your day as the person who has their desire, not thinking about when it will come, but simply being who you are, you have entered Sabbath. And in Sabbath, the harvest comes quickly. Here is how you know you are staying in the state successfully. When your desire becomes natural, not exciting, not special, not something you think about constantly. Natural, normal, ordinary. Think about things you already have. Do you think about them all day? Do you get excited every time you remember them? Do you hope they stay with you? No. They are simply yours. They are so naturally yours that you take them for granted. When your desire reaches this quality, when it feels so natural to be wealthy, to be loved, to be healthy, to be successful, that you almost forget you are manifesting it. You are dwelling in the state perfectly. This naturalness is the sign that you have truly moved rooms. You are no longer visiting the state of wealth. You are living there. You are no longer hoping for love. You are being loved. You are no longer trying to be successful. You are successful, and it is so normal that it barely registers. When you reach this naturalness, the physical manifestation is imminent. Why? Because naturalness means there is no more resistance, no more doubt, no more split consciousness. You are completely, totally, fully in the state. And the physical world must reflect a state that is occupied so completely. Let me tell you the ultimate truth about staying in the state. It is not about perfection. You will fall out of the state sometimes. You will doubt sometimes. You will be shaken sometimes. This is human. This is normal. This does not mean you have failed. Staying in the state is not about never leaving. It is about returning quickly when you notice you have left. It is about dwelling more in the desired state than in the old state. It is about making the desired state your home, even if you occasionally take trips back to the old state. Over time, those trips become shorter and less frequent. Over time, the desired state becomes so natural that you hardly ever leave. Over time, staying in the state becomes effortless because you are no longer trying to stay. You simply are. This is mastery, not perfection, not rigid control, but natural, easy dwelling in the state of your wish fulfilled. Right now, in this moment, choose your state. Where will you dwell? In the state of having your desire or in the state of lacking your desire? Choose now. Assume now. Feel now. You are the person who has their desire, not someday. Now, in consciousness, in the only reality that creates. And from this moment forward, your only job is to stay there, to dwell there, to make that state your home. When you fall out, return immediately. When doubt comes, let it pass without engaging. When circumstances contradict, remember they are the old mirror. Stay in the state. Dwell in the state. Live in the state. Do this, and I promise you, as surely as the sun rises, your desire will harden into fact. Not because you forced it, not because you earned it, but because you became it in consciousness first. And the physical world had no choice but to reflect the state you dwelled in. Stay in the state, my friends. It is the whole law in 4 words. Thank you, and good evening. As always, thank you for joining me on this journey into the depths of consciousness. Remember, you are not here by accident. You are here because your soul is ready for this truth. Take these teachings and let them transform not just your mind, but your entire reality. Until we meet again in consciousness, keep assuming your greatness and living from the end of your desires. This is Best of Lectures. I will see you in the next video.
My dear friends, stop what you're doing for just a moment. Take a breath and look around you. What you're experiencing right now, this moment, this room, this life, it's just one timeline among infinite possibilities. And I'm about to show you how to step into a completely different one. Right now, as you're listening these words, infinite versions of reality are vibrating just beyond your perception. They're so close you could almost reach out and touch them, waiting for you to collapse them into experience. Yet here we are. So many of us locked inside our single loops, living the same patterns, getting the same results, feeling the same frustrations, wondering why nothing ever changes, even though we desperately want more. Let me shatter something for you. You're not stuck because of fate, destiny, or bad luck. I've been there too. We're stuck because our systems, our minds, bodies, emotions, our very frequencies, are still tuned to our old timelines. You and I both know you can't break free by just wishing for it. You can't escape by forcing it, and we certainly can't trick the quantum field by pretending. This transformation we're seeking isn't about manifesting harder. It's about you and me stepping into new states of being, so completely, so coherently, that the quantum field has no choice but to mirror back different realities to each of us. I used to think, and maybe you did too, that manifestation was all about desire. Want something badly enough, and the universe will deliver it. But can I share with you the truth that changed everything for me? Your desire alone does nothing in the quantum field. The field doesn't care how badly you and I want change. It only responds to how aligned we are with the frequency of that change. This means that right now, even if you're doing everything right, saying all the affirmations, creating beautiful vision boards, doing your visualizations, you might still be signaling the old timeline. I know because I've been there. Why does this happen to us? Because beneath our conscious efforts, our bodies are wired for the familiar. Our nervous systems are addicted to those old emotional loops. Our subconscious minds are still broadcasting patterns of fear, doubt, and scarcity, even while we're consciously shouting, I want abundance, I want love, I want success. Here's what hit me like lightning, and I want it to hit you too. The quantum field listens to our dominant signal, not our loudest one. Take a breath and let that land in your heart. Your dominant signal comes from your full system vibration. Not just what you think, but what you feel, what you expect, what you embody in every moment. That's why you can say, I am wealthy 1,000 times. But if your body contracts with anxiety every time you pay a bill, the field picks up your contraction, not your affirmation. I've seen it in my own life. You can visualize love all day long, but if your heart remains armored and closed from past hurts, the field registers your isolation, not your desire for connection. This is the trap that's kept me spinning for years. And maybe you too. We believe change starts outside us, with our circumstances, with our actions, with our results. But I've learned that quantum shift begins inside, with our state, with our coherence, with our alignment. You and I must become the versions of ourselves that already inhabit our desired timelines. Not someday, not when the evidence arrives, but right now. Let me share something that blew my mind when I understood it. Quantum physics shows us that all possibilities exist simultaneously in the field of potential. Every timeline, every version of you and me, every outcome we could imagine, they're all already vibrating in the quantum field. When we shift our vibration, we're not creating something from nothing. We're collapsing into the versions that have been waiting for us all along. I'm fascinated by how visionaries and inventors throughout history seem to understand this intuitively. Remember when Nikola Tesla said, if you only knew the magnificence of 3, 6, and 9, you would have the key to the universe. These aren't just magical tricks. They point to universal patterns, harmonics, and the profound truth that our reality organizes itself around vibration. So I had to ask myself, and now I'm asking you, the question isn't, how do I get what I want? The real question is, who do I need to become vibrationally to align with the timeline where what I desire already exists? And becoming isn't pretending. It's not faking it till you make it. It's not performing. Becoming is a full body, full soul shift into coherence that you and I can feel in every cell. This is where our quantum shift begins. You're not here to fight your old timeline. You're here with me to rise into the frequency of your new one. Now let's talk about the real reason people don't shift. It's not because they're lazy. It's not because they don't want change badly enough. And it's definitely not because they're doing manifestation wrong. It's because they're still entangled with the version of themselves that's wired to survive the old timeline. That version, while outdated, is familiar. And the subconscious mind loves the familiar more than it loves progress. The old timeline doesn't need your permission to keep playing. It just needs your participation. Every time you react the same way, tell the same story, expect the same outcome, the signal gets reinforced. It's like a well-worn neural pathway in the brain. The more you walk it, the deeper it gets. Soon that path becomes automatic. You're not choosing your timeline anymore. It's choosing you. And here's where quantum physics and neuroscience intersect in a way most overlook. In quantum mechanics, the observer effect tells us that the act of observation collapses a wave of infinite potential into a single event, a particle, a choice, a reality. But here's the twist. You're not just observing reality with your eyes. You're observing it with your beliefs, your emotions, your expectations. Now add this neuroscience insight. 95% of your behavior is driven by the subconscious mind, which stores all your emotional conditioning, trauma, beliefs, and identity patterns. This means most of the time, it's not your conscious intention collapsing the wave. It's your subconscious programming. Let that land. You're trying to manifest from the 5% of you that's awake and aware, while the 95% of you is still tuned to fear, lack, distrust, and survival. And the quantum responds to the dominant signal. So when people say manifestation doesn't work, what they really mean is, I haven't yet shifted the internal observer that's collapsing my reality. This is why people loop. This is why you can change your job, your partner, your city, and still find yourself in the same emotional patterns. Because nothing external has the power to override an internal frequency that hasn't been changed. What's anchoring you in the old timeline? Usually it's resistance. And resistance is sneaky. It shows up as overthinking, as procrastination, as emotional numbness, as hyperproductivity, as fear disguised as logic, as the voice that says be realistic. But resistance always boils down to one thing. Your system believes it's safer to stay where you are, even if you hate it, than to leap into the unknown. And that belief lives in the body, stored trauma, emotional suppression, inherited fears, all coded into your nervous system. That's why you can know something intellectually, but still not be able to live it. That's why affirmations fall flat, why visualizations fade, why you keep falling back into the same old cycles. The resistance isn't in your mindset, it's in your chemistry. When your nervous system is dysregulated, it sends a signal of threat to the field, even when your mouth is saying, I'm ready. That energetic contradiction keeps collapsing the same limited outcomes. It's not personal, it's physics. Tesla once said, if you want to understand the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. This wasn't metaphorical. It was literal. Your life is a frequency. Your thoughts, emotions, posture, breath, they all create a vibrational pattern that either aligns with your desired timeline or repels it. You are not just a person navigating a life. You are a frequency generator embedded in a responsive field. And you've been broadcasting the same old pattern for so long. You've mistaken it for who you are. But here's the liberating truth. You don't have to fight that pattern. You just have to stop feeding it. Shifting timelines isn't about forcing the quantum field to obey you. It's about aligning so completely with the version of you who already lives the reality you desire, that the old timeline can no longer hold you. Think of the quantum field like a vast ocean of possibility. Every timeline, every version of you, every outcome already exists in that ocean as a wave. When you focus, when you observe, when you align, you collapse a particular wave into form. But here's the key. You don't collapse the wave by wanting it. You collapse it by matching it. And matching isn't just mental. It's emotional, physical, vibrational. It's how your entire system hums when you're in coherence. So why do people struggle to match the new timeline? Because they're trying to get there by thinking about it. They intellectualize the shift. I know abundance is available. I know love is possible. I know I can heal. But knowing isn't enough. Your body needs to know. Your emotions need to know. Your breath, your posture, your habits, your identity. They all need to signal, I am now the version of me who belongs in this timeline. This is where embodiment comes in. Embodiment is not a buzzword. It's the missing link. It's the practice of inhabiting the frequency you want before the external world gives you permission. If you're shifting into an abundance timeline, embodiment might mean spending money with trust instead of panic, breathing into your body when the fear of not enough rises, showing up to opportunities with openness instead of bracing for disappointment. If you're shifting into a love timeline, embodiment might mean softening your heart when you want to shut down, taking emotional risks, practicing vulnerability even when old wounds tell you to hide. You don't wait for the timeline to shift to start living differently. You start living differently, and the timeline shifts. This is why so many manifestation efforts fail. They're conditional. I'll feel grateful when I get the job. I'll relax when I find the relationship. I'll feel abundant when the money arrives. But the quantum doesn't work that way. The field isn't testing you or punishing you. It's reflecting you. And reflection happens instantaneously, not after a delay. The real work becomes, can you become coherent? Can you bring your mind, heart, body, and actions into alignment, even when nothing external has changed yet? Can you hold the signal long enough for the wave to collapse? Because here's the paradox no one talks about. The timeline doesn't shift when you get tired of waiting. The timeline shifts when waiting is no longer part of your frequency. The only practice that matters is the one you actually live. We live in an age where it's easy to consume knowledge, gather techniques, watch videos, and yet never integrate. Why? Because consuming feels like progress. But progress only happens when the body, the breath, the actions begin to match the information. So here's how we bring the quantum shift into daily life. First, understand the principle of microalignment. Most people think shifting timelines requires massive, dramatic changes, but quantum reality responds to coherence, not size. A small act done with pure, aligned intention can carry more vibrational weight than a giant, frantic gesture done from desperation. If you're shifting toward abundance, your practice might be breathing deeply when scarcity thoughts arise, expressing gratitude for small resources, spending money with presence and trust rather than panic. If you're shifting toward love, your practice might be opening your posture when you want to shrink, speaking words of affection even when vulnerability feels uncomfortable. These small acts are quantum keys. They tell the field, this is who I am now, not who I'm trying to become someday, but who I've decided to be today. But here's the part most people miss. The practice is not about perfection. It's about returning. You will wobble. You will fall back into old loops. You will catch yourself thinking, feeling, or acting from the old timeline. This doesn't mean you failed. It means you're alive. The power isn't in never slipping. The power is in how quickly you come back. Every time you notice yourself slipping into the old frequency and gently guide yourself back, you strengthen the new timeline. Every time you pause, breathe, and choose coherence over chaos, you reinforce the shift. Every time you act as though the new reality is already true, even when the external world hasn't caught up yet, you collapse the wave. This is the dance of quantum embodiment. I've learned this the hard way, and I want to save you the trouble. The quantum field doesn't care if we visit our new timeline once. It only reshapes around us when we live there. I used to approach manifestation like a single event. Maybe you have too. We visualize, we affirm, we journal, we wait. And when results don't show up immediately, we collapse back into our old frequency. I didn't realize for the longest time that the true magic, the true transformation, happens in the staying. Sustainability is the master key of our quantum shift. Let me be real with you. This doesn't mean forcing yourself to feel good all the time. It doesn't mean ignoring challenges or pretending you're high vibe when you're going through hell. It means you and I developing the emotional and energetic capacity to return again and again to alignment. Every time you wobble and come back, you strengthen your signal. Every time you notice an old loop pulling at you and gently choose your new timeline instead, you reinforce your shift. Every time you act, speak, breathe, and choose as though you already live in your desired state, your old timeline loses its grip on you. This isn't punishment. This is mastery. You're learning how to become the quantum signal that collapses the wave, not occasionally, not when it's convenient, but as your way of life. Let me share the roadmap that changed everything for me. Number 1, daily awareness. I start my day not with my to-do list, but with a tuning. Ask yourself like I do. What frequency am I bringing into today? Are we carrying fear or trust? Are we expecting struggle or flow? Set your intention before your feet even hit the ground. Number 2, embodied action. Throughout your day, practice micro-alignment. Notice when your actions match your desired timeline and when they don't. If we want abundance, are we acting with generosity or scarcity? If we want love, are we opening or armoring? I found that small, repeated shifts matter far more than occasional big leaps. Number 4, emotional regulation. You and I will get triggered. we will fall into doubt. We're human. The power lies not in avoiding it, but in our return. Breathe. Ground yourself. Reconnect with the version of you who already knows. This is who I am now. Number 5. Gratitude. This has transformed my life. When we practice genuine gratitude, we signal to the quantum, I am aligned, I am receptive, I am whole. This amplifies the coherence of our field and accelerates the collapse of our desired timeline. Remember, you're not doing this to get somewhere. You're doing this because this is the somewhere you are. You're not chasing your timeline. You are becoming it. Let me tell you something. You are not the same person who began listening these words. You are vibrating slightly differently. You are carrying new awareness, a new code, a new possibility inside you. The real magic isn't in remembering everything we've discussed. The real magic is in what you do next. So here's my invitation. Not a homework assignment. Not a checklist. Just a living, breathing invitation. In the next 24 hours, surprise yourself. Do one thing, just one, that belongs to the version of you living in your desired timeline. Maybe it's a choice, a gesture, a conversation, or even a private shift inside your mind or heart. It doesn't need to be big. It just needs to be real. And when you do it, know this, you are no longer waiting for change. You are being it. Your journey to mastery begins now. Not when you're ready, not when circumstances align, not when you have more information or feel more confident. Now, because the extraordinary version of you, the one living in that vibrant, expansive timeline, is already here, already whole, already complete, and the quantum field is listening. There's something I discovered years ago that completely shattered everything I thought I knew about reality. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why the version of you living your dream life isn't a future possibility. It's a present fact. But first, let me ask you this. Have you ever had a moment where you felt absolutely certain that something was about to happen, and then it did? Stay with me, because what I'm about to share will explain exactly why that occurred, and more importantly, how you can make it happen at will. Listen carefully. Right now, as you're hearing these words, there exists a version of you that is already living the exact life you desire. Not symbolically, not metaphorically, but literally. This isn't wishful thinking or spiritual fantasy. This is the fundamental nature of consciousness itself. And the bridge between where you are now and where that version of you exists is what I call the art of assumption. You see, most people have been taught to believe that consciousness is produced by the brain, that we are merely physical beings having occasional spiritual experiences. But I tell you this with absolute certainty. Consciousness is the only reality, and what you call the physical world is simply consciousness pushed out. Every single thing you see, touch, and experience is your own wonderful human imagination made manifest. Now, here's where it gets absolutely fascinating. And this revelation will completely transform how you understand your place in the universe. Modern science has discovered what they call the quantum field, an infinite web of pure potential where every possibility exists simultaneously. But what they don't fully grasp is that this quantum field is nothing more than your own divine imagination, the very consciousness through which you are experiencing this moment. Every possibility, every potential outcome, every version of yourself that could ever exist is alive and real within your own consciousness right now. But here's something that will blow your mind completely. In the quantum realm, scientists have discovered that the mere act of observation changes reality. They call it the observer effect. When they observe a particle, it behaves differently than when it's not being observed. This isn't just some abstract scientific principle. This is the fundamental law by which your entire life operates. You are the observer of your reality, and your observation, your assumption, literally determines which version of reality you experience. Think about this profound truth. At the quantum level, particles exist in what scientists call superposition. They exist in all possible states simultaneously until observed. Your life is exactly the same way. Right now, you exist in all possible states. Wealthy and poor, healthy and sick, loved and lonely, successful and struggling, all simultaneously. The version you experience is determined by which state you assume to be true through your observation, your attention, your assumption. Now, let me take you deeper into this mystery, because this is where the real magic begins to unfold. Parallel realities aren't science fiction. They're scientific fact. Every choice you make, every assumption you hold, every thought you think is creating a branching point in the quantum field. In one reality, you chose to assume lack and limitation. In another reality, you chose to assume abundance and possibility. Both realities exist. Both are equally real, and you are living in all of them simultaneously. But here's the key that unlocks everything. Your consciousness is not limited to experiencing just one reality. You have the power to shift your awareness from one parallel reality to another simply by changing your assumption about yourself. This isn't metaphysics. This is the most practical truth you'll ever learn. You are not stuck in your current reality unless you assume you are. Let me paint you a picture that will revolutionize your understanding of existence itself. Imagine the quantum field as an infinite library containing every possible version of your life. In one book, you're a millionaire living in your dream home. In another, you're in perfect health and vitality. In yet another, you're in the most loving relationship of your dreams. These aren't future possibilities. These are present realities existing right now in parallel dimensions of the quantum field. The question isn't whether these realities exist, they do. The question is, which book are you currently reading? Which reality are you assuming to be true? Because whichever one you assume, whichever one you feel to be real, that's the one that becomes your experienced reality. Now, here's something that will absolutely astound you about the nature of these parallel realities. Every version of you that exists in these parallel dimensions has a complete history, complete memories, complete experiences. When you shift from one reality to another through assumption, you don't just change your future, you change your entire timeline. You literally become a person who has always been living in that reality. This is why sometimes you might remember things differently than others, or why you might have memories that don't quite match your current circumstances. You're not going crazy. You're remembering experiences from parallel versions of yourself that exist in the quantum field. Your consciousness is so vast that it encompasses all possibilities simultaneously. And there's something even more incredible about this quantum nature of reality. Scientists have discovered that particles can be entangled, connected in such a way that changing one instantly affects the other, regardless of distance. Your consciousness works exactly the same way. Every version of you that exists in parallel realities is entangled with every other version. When you change your assumption about yourself, you're not just affecting your current reality. You're sending ripples through the entire quantum field, affecting all versions of yourself across all parallel realities. This is why the changes can sometimes seem to happen so quickly. Why people around you might start treating you differently before you've even taken any external action. You've changed at the quantum level, and that change reverberates through all dimensions of your existence simultaneously. Let me share something with you that will completely transform your approach to creating change in your life. In the quantum field, there is no time as you understand it. Past, present, and future are all happening simultaneously. This means that the version of you living your dream life isn't waiting for you in some distant future. That version exists right now, in this very moment, in a parallel reality. And here's the beautiful part. You don't have to wait to become that version of yourself. You can assume that identity right now, in this very moment, and begin to experience that reality immediately. The quantum field doesn't care about your current circumstances or your past history. It only responds to your current assumption about yourself. Now let me tell you something that will liberate you from the prison of your current circumstances. Every limitation you experience is simply a result of your assumption about what's possible for you. In the quantum field, there are no limitations, only possibilities. Every version of reality exists simultaneously, including the version where you have overcome every obstacle. achieved every goal, and experienced every joy. The reason you're not currently experiencing that reality is not because it doesn't exist. It's because you haven't assumed it to be true for you. You've been assuming the reality of limitation instead of the reality of possibility. But in this very moment, you have the power to change that assumption and step into a completely different reality. Here's something absolutely mind-bending about the quantum nature of consciousness. Your imagination is not separate from the quantum field. It is the quantum field. When you imagine something, you're not creating something new. You're accessing a reality that already exists in the infinite possibilities of the quantum field. Your imagination is your personal interface with the quantum realm. This is why your imagination feels so real when you're truly absorbed in it. It's not because you're pretending or fantasizing. It's because you're actually experiencing a parallel reality where that imagined scenario is completely real. Your consciousness is so powerful that it can access any reality in the quantum field simply through the act of assumption. But here's where most people get confused. And this understanding will save you years of frustration. You're not trying to create a new reality. You're trying to access a reality that already exists. Every desire you have, every dream you hold, every goal you set, is simply your consciousness recognizing a parallel reality where that desire is already fulfilled. The version of you living in abundance isn't a future possibility. It's a present reality existing in a parallel dimension. The version of you in perfect health isn't something you need to become. It's something you already are in another dimension of the quantum field. All you need to do is assume that reality to be true and allow your consciousness to shift into that parallel dimension. Now let me reveal to you the most powerful secret about navigating these parallel realities. Your assumptions act like coordinates in the quantum field. Just as you might enter coordinates into a GPS to navigate to a specific location, your assumptions direct your consciousness to a specific reality in the quantum field. Change your assumptions, and you instantly change your coordinates, shifting to a different parallel reality. This is why the feeling is so important. Your emotions are the fuel that powers your movement through the quantum field. When you feel the reality of your desire, when you emotionally experience what it would be like to be living that dream life, you're not just hoping or wishing. You're actually shifting your consciousness to the parallel reality where that life exists. And here's something that will completely transform your understanding of manifestation. You're not trying to bring something from a parallel reality into this reality. You're shifting your consciousness to a parallel reality where what you desire already exists. The external world you experience is simply a reflection of which parallel reality your consciousness is currently aligned with. Think about this revolutionary concept. Every night when you go to sleep, you're actually shifting between parallel realities. In your dreams, you experience different versions of yourself, different circumstances, different possibilities. But what you might not realize is that these aren't just random dreams. They're actual experiences from parallel versions of yourself existing in the quantum field. This is why your dreams can sometimes feel so real, why you might wake up with emotions from your dream experiences, why certain dreams seem to predict future events. You're not just dreaming, you're accessing parallel realities, where those experiences are completely real. Your consciousness is naturally designed to navigate between these realities. Now here's the key that will unlock your power to consciously navigate between parallel realities. You must learn to assume with the same naturalness that you assume in your dreams. In your dreams, you don't question the reality of what you're experiencing. You simply accept it as real. This is the same attitude you must cultivate when assuming your desired reality. Let me share with you a profound truth about the quantum nature of time. In the quantum field, cause and effect don't work the way you think they do. You've been taught that you need to work hard to achieve your goals, that you need to take action to create results. But in the quantum field, the effect can actually precede the cause. You can experience the result before you take the action. This is why assumption is so powerful. When you assume your desire fulfilled, you're not just hoping it will happen in the future. You're actually experiencing the quantum effect of that fulfillment right now. The external circumstances then rearrange themselves to match the quantum reality you've assumed. Here's something that will completely revolutionize your approach to change. Every person, every circumstance, every situation in your life exists in multiple versions across parallel realities. The version you experience depends entirely on your assumption about them. Change your assumption, and you'll literally shift to a parallel reality where they exist differently. This doesn't mean you're changing other people. You're shifting to a parallel reality where different versions of those people exist. The version of your boss who appreciates your work exists in a parallel reality. The version of your family member who supports your dreams exists in a parallel reality. The version of your financial situation that's abundant exists in a parallel reality. But here's the most incredible part about this understanding. All these parallel realities are equally real. There's no hierarchy, no better or worse realities, only different realities. The one you experience is simply the one you assume to be true through your attention and feeling. Now, let me reveal to you the secret of quantum coherence. In the quantum field, when particles become coherent, when they vibrate in harmony, they can achieve seemingly impossible things. Your consciousness works the same way. When your thoughts, feelings, and assumptions are all aligned toward the same reality, you achieve quantum coherence, and you can shift to any parallel reality you choose. This is why consistency in your assumption is so important. It's not enough to assume your desire fulfilled for a few minutes and then spend the rest of the day assuming limitation. You must maintain quantum coherence by consistently assuming the reality you want to experience. Here's something that will blow your mind about the infinite nature of these parallel realities. Not only do they exist, but they're all equally accessible to you right now. You don't need to earn your way into a better reality. You don't need to deserve a parallel dimension where you're successful and happy. You simply need to assume it and allow your consciousness to shift. The quantum field doesn't judge. It doesn't care about your past mistakes or current circumstances. It only responds to your current assumption. In this very moment, you have access to the parallel reality where you've overcome every obstacle, achieved every dream, and experienced every joy. But here's the part that trips up most people, and understanding this will accelerate your ability to shift realities. You must assume from the end. You can't assume that you're going to be wealthy someday. You must assume that you are wealthy now. You can't assume that you'll find love eventually. You must assume that you are loved now. The quantum field only knows the present moment. Let me share with you a profound secret about the nature of quantum entanglement in consciousness. Every desire you have is actually a quantum entanglement with a parallel reality where that desire is fulfilled. The very fact that you can conceive of something, that you can desire it, that you can imagine it, proves that it exists in the quantum field. Your desires are not random. They're quantum signals from parallel versions of yourself. This is why your desires feel so real to you, why they call to you so persistently. They're not just wishes or fantasies. They're actual communications from parallel versions of yourself who are living those realities. When you feel the pull of a desire, you're feeling the quantum entanglement with the version of yourself who has already fulfilled it. Now, here's something that will transform your entire relationship with your desires. You're not trying to get something you don't have. You're trying to remember something you already are. In the quantum field, you already exist in the state of having everything you desire. You're simply shifting your awareness to that parallel reality. The version of you listening these words right now exists simultaneously with the version of you living in complete abundance, perfect health, and total fulfillment. These aren't separate beings. They're all you, existing in different dimensions of the quantum field. The bridge between them is your assumption about which version is real. And here's the most liberating truth about parallel realities. Your past doesn't determine your future unless you assume it does. In the quantum field, every moment is a new beginning, a fresh opportunity to assume any reality you choose. The version of you with a completely different past, different experiences, different achievements exists right now in a parallel dimension. When you truly understand this, you realize that you're not limited by anything that has happened before. You're not defined by your mistakes, your failures, your circumstances, or your history. You're only defined by your current assumption about yourself, and that assumption can change in an instant. Let me tell you something that will completely transform your understanding of identity. You are not one person living one life. You are one consciousness experiencing multiple lives simultaneously across parallel realities. Every choice you make, every assumption you hold, every thought you think is creating and accessing different versions of yourself. The question isn't who you are. The question is which version of yourself you choose to assume as your primary identity. The wealthy version, the healthy version, the loved version, the successful version. They all exist simultaneously in the quantum field of your consciousness. Your imagination is your portal to these parallel realities. Every time you imagine yourself living differently, you're not just daydreaming. You're actually accessing a parallel dimension where that life is completely real. The more vividly you can imagine it, the more real it becomes to your consciousness, and the easier it becomes to shift to that reality. And here's the secret that will accelerate your ability to navigate between realities. You must learn to feel yourself into the reality rather than think yourself into it. The quantum field responds to feeling, to assumption, to the state of being, rather than to mental activity alone. When you feel yourself to be wealthy, healthy, loved, and successful, when you assume these states as natural to you, you're not pretending or forcing anything. You're simply aligning with the parallel reality where these states are your natural condition. The external world then shifts to match your internal assumption. Remember this profound truth. Consciousness is the only reality, and the quantum field is simply consciousness in its pure, infinite potential. You are not separate from this field. You are this field, experiencing itself through the lens of human awareness. Every parallel reality, every possibility, every potential exists within your own infinite consciousness. The reality you desire is not separate from you. It is you. It is another facet of your own infinite being, another dimension of your own consciousness. You access it not through struggle or effort, but through the gentle art of assumption, through the natural recognition of what you already are. Your life is happening in the quantum field of your consciousness. Every moment, you're choosing which parallel reality to experience through your assumptions about yourself and your world. Change your assumptions, and you change your reality instantly. This is not theory. This is the fundamental law by which all existence operates. The question is not whether you have the power to shift realities. You are already doing it every moment of every day. The question is whether you will do it consciously or unconsciously. Will you choose your reality deliberately, or will you let it be chosen by default assumptions and unconscious patterns? The parallel reality where you are living your dream life exists right now. The quantum field is waiting for your assumption. Your desired reality is calling to you from across the dimensions of possibility. The only question is, will you answer that call by assuming it to be true? The choice, as always, is yours, and the time to choose is now.
You are not just a participant in life, but the creator of your reality. When you shift into creator mode, you reclaim the power to shape your destiny. You are the architect of your desires, and every thought you hold acts as the blueprint for the experiences you manifest. The moment you recognize this truth, a profound change begins. This is not a coincidence. It's the universe responding to your awakening. You've stumbled upon this wisdom because you are ready to embody it. Creator mode begins with awareness of your thoughts, feelings, and beliefs. Every desire you hold is like a seed, and the mind is its soil. What you dwell upon and believe in is nourished and grows. As you notice your inner dialogue, ask yourself, is this aligned with what I truly want? Shifting into this state means becoming intentional. The universe does not respond to your hopes or wishes. It responds to your state of being. As you embody the reality of your desires, you set the tone for your life's symphony. Desire is not random. It's a divine nudge guiding you toward your highest potential. When you feel a deep yearning for something, it's because it already exists within you. Shifting into creator mode means embracing your desires with confidence. There's no need to chase or beg. Instead, you align with the feeling of already having it. Each time you act, think, or feel as if your desire is already fulfilled, you are moving closer to it. This is the essence of creation, living in the end. Imagination is the tool through which all things are created. In creator mode, you consciously direct this power. Picture yourself living the life you desire. Feel the joy and let the scene saturate your being. When you immerse yourself in this vision with vivid clarity, your subconscious mind begins to accept it as reality. This practice is not mere daydreaming. It's the act of creation itself. To attract your desires, you must embody the feelings they bring. What would it feel like to have the life you dream of? Joy, peace, gratitude, and excitement are your indicators of alignment. In creator mode, you make it a habit to dwell in these elevated states. It's not just about thinking, it's about feeling. When you consistently embody the emotions of fulfillment, you align with the frequency of your desires. The outer world cannot help but rearrange itself to match your inner state. The unseen is as real as the seen. Creator mode requires you to trust in the process, even when physical evidence hasn't yet appeared. Faith bridges the gap between where you are and where you want to be. Every moment you hold the vision and act as though it's already yours, you strengthen this bridge. Doubt weakens your creative power, but belief amplifies it. Your reality is a reflection of your convictions. Persist in your assumption, and the invisible will become visible. Gratitude is the language of abundance. In creator mode, you practice being grateful for what you desire, as if you already have it. This shifts your focus from lack to fulfillment. When you feel thankful for your dreams as though they've already materialized, you invite more blessings into your life. Gratitude rewires your mind for positivity and opens the door for miracles. It is not just a reaction, it's a deliberate creation. Creation happens now, not in the past or future. In creator mode, you anchor yourself in the present moment. Each moment is a new opportunity to realign with your desires. When you dwell on past failures or worry about the future, you delay your manifestations. Instead, bring your attention to now. How would you act, feel, or think if you already had your desires? The present is your point of power. Your outer world is a mirror of your inner state. In creator mode, you take responsibility for what you see. If something in your life feels out of alignment, ask yourself, what within me is creating this? By changing your inner assumptions, you naturally shift the external circumstances. Creation is an inside-out process. The universe is always responding to the story you tell yourself. Rewrite it to reflect your highest vision. In creator mode, you trust so deeply in the process that you no longer cling to outcomes. This freedom creates space for miracles to unfold. The more you hold on with desperation, the more resistance you create. Detach, knowing that what is meant for you is already yours. Your inner dialogue is the script for your external reality. In creator mode, you consciously direct your self-talk to align with your desires. Replace doubts and negativity with affirmations of certainty and abundance. Speak to yourself as if you are already living your dream life. Words are not just expressions. They are commands to the subconscious mind. When your inner conversations are empowering, the outer world reflects that power. Assumption is the key to creation. In creator mode, you live as though your desires are already fulfilled. Assume the role of the person you wish to become. Walk, talk, and act in alignment with this new identity. This is not pretending. It's embodying the truth of what is already possible. The world will conform to the reality you hold within. Assume it fully, and it will manifest effortlessly. Your subconscious mind is the engine of creation. In creator mode, you program it with intention, Visualization, repetition, and feeling are your tools. Feed your subconscious only what you want to experience. It does not distinguish between real and imagined. It takes everything you impress upon it as fact. Guard your mind diligently, for it is the soil where your seeds of desire grow. Persistence separates fleeting wishes from manifested realities. In creator mode, you remain steadfast in your vision despite temporary appearances. Challenges may arise, but they are opportunities to deepen your faith. When you persist in assuming the feeling of your desire fulfilled, the universe has no choice but to deliver. Do not waver. Stay committed to your inner knowing. In creator mode, you understand that everything is energy vibrating at different frequencies. Your thoughts and emotions emit a vibration that attracts similar frequencies. To bring your desires into physical reality, align your energy with them. Joy, gratitude, and love are high-frequency states that magnetize your dreams. When you elevate your vibration, you become a match for all you seek. Action in creator mode is not force or frantic. It is inspired and effortless. As you align with your desires, the right actions will naturally reveal themselves. You will feel nudged by intuition, and opportunities will appear in perfect timing. Trust this flow and act when inspired. Creation is a dance between intention and surrender. Let inspiration guide you. Limiting beliefs are barriers to your manifestations. In creator mode, you identify and dissolve these blocks. Question any belief that suggests your desires are impossible or that you are unworthy. Replace these limitations with empowering truths. You are infinite, and so are your possibilities. The only limits are those you accept as real. Free your mind and your world will expand. Who you believe yourself to be shapes your entire life. In creator mode, you refine your self-concept to align with your desires. See yourself as capable, worthy, and abundant. Your identity determines your experiences. When you shift how you see yourself, your outer world transforms to match. Become the version of yourself who already has it all. Creation is not always instantaneous, but it is always certain when you remain aligned. In creator mode, you trust the process without impatience. Like planting a seed, you don't dig it up to check its growth. You water it with faith and allow it to flourish. Trust that every step, even the challenges, is bringing you closer to your desires. Your faith is the foundation of your manifestations. Repetition ingrains your desires into your subconscious mind. In creator mode, you revisit your vision and affirmations daily. Consistency is key. Just as water shapes stone over time, your repeated focus shapes reality. Repetition turns your desires into beliefs and beliefs into experiences. Keep your mind fixed on your goal, and it will become your reality. The path to your desires may unfold in unexpected ways. In creator mode, you welcome the unknown with curiosity and excitement. Trust that the universe orchestrates events far beyond your understanding. Detours are not delays, but redirections to something even better. Surrender control and embrace the unfolding mystery of creation. Love is the highest creative force in the universe. In creator mode, you embody love, not just for others, but for yourself and your desires. When you approach life with love, you dissolve resistance and invite miracles. Love your vision, love the process, and love the version of yourself who is creating it all. Love aligns you with the infinite. Your job is not to figure out how your desires will manifest, but to align with their fulfillment. In creator mode, you release the need to control every detail. The universe has infinite ways to bring your dreams to life. Focus on the what and the why and trust the how to unfold naturally. Let go and let it flow. Challenges are not obstacles, but stepping stones to your growth. In creator mode, you see every setback as an opportunity to strengthen your vision. These moments refine your faith and resilience. When you face difficulties, remind yourself that you are still creating. Rise above, recalibrate, and persist. Nothing can stop a creator in alignment. Every small manifestation is a sign of your power. In creator mode, you celebrate these wins as evidence of your alignment. Gratitude for the small opens the door for the grand. Recognize each step forward and let it fuel your faith. The journey is as important as the destination, and joy multiplies your success. Confidence in your creative ability is magnetic. In creator mode, you trust yourself completely. You don't question whether your desires will manifest. You know they will. This inner certainty radiates outward, attracting the people, circumstances, and opportunities you need. Confidence is not arrogance. It's the calm knowing that you are the creator of your life. To truly shift into creator mode is to embody it fully in every moment. You are no longer a passive observer of life, but an active participant in its unfolding. Every thought, feeling, and action is a brushstroke on the canvas of your reality. You found this wisdom because you are ready to live it. Step into your role as the creator and watch as your desires flow effortlessly into your life. You are infinite, and the universe responds to your command. And that's it for the day. Thank you for watching. Please feel free to share your thoughts and insights in the comment section. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done it already. Have an amazing day, and I'll see you in the next video.